Hello and welcome to Module 3 of the SBH Teaching Kitchen's online cooking series. My name is Emily, and in today's lesson I'm going to show you how to make hummus. Hummus is a food that is very popular in Middle Eastern and Mediterranean cuisines, although in recent years it has become very popular all over the world. If you're not familiar with hummus, it is a dip or a spread that is made primarily with chickpeas. So chickpeas are also known as garbanzo beans. They are related to other types of beans and lentils. They're in the legume family. Legumes are very good for you. They're very high in protein and fiber, and they're very cheap. So I always recommend for people to get more legumes into their diet, and hummus is a great way to do that. When you're buying hummus from the grocery store, it can be kind of expensive. It can cost you anywhere between $3 and $5 for a small container of it, while this recipe is going to cost us less than $2 to make. So if you really like hummus or you're interested in trying it out, I highly recommend trying to make it at home because it is going to cost you a lot less money to do so, and we're actually going to make a decent amount of hummus. This recipe is going to make about 2 cups. Once we've made that hummus, there's a lot of different ways you can eat it. You can use it as a dip for things like pita chips or even veggie sticks. It's really great with carrots and bell peppers and cucumber, but it's also a really great spread on sandwiches and wraps, and can even make a really nice topping for a salad. There's really a lot of different ways we can eat that hummus, so it's very versatile, and we'll go ahead and go over the ingredients first. Our main ingredient for hummus is going to be those chickpeas. We are going to use 1 can. I drained the liquid out of the chickpeas and rinsed them off. Canned beans can be very high in sodium, but if we drain the liquid and rinse them off, we're getting rid of most of the sodium in those beans. If you can find low sodium or no salt added beans, I recommend going for those if you can get them. Next, we just need 1 lemon. We're going to juice this. We need 1 clove of garlic. I know it's tempting to always add extra garlic when something only calls for 1 clove, but the garlic will be raw, and if you add a lot of raw garlic to something that we're going to puree, it can get a really harsh raw garlic flavor. So start with 1 clove. If you want more, you can always add more. Next, we need just olive oil or any kind of oil that you have in hand. We're going to add a little bit of water to that recipe to thin it out, some cumin, some salt, and then we do have an optional ingredient. That is tahini. So you don't need to add this ingredient, but it is a traditional ingredient in hummus. Tahini is kind of like peanut butter, but instead of peanuts, they use sunflower seeds. So it's just ground up sunflower seeds. It's kind of liquidy. It adds a nutty flavor to the hummus. Depending on where you're shopping, it can be kind of expensive. So if you don't know if you like tahini, you've never had it before, you're not familiar with it, you don't have it at home already, don't feel like you need to go out and buy it to make this recipe. If you know you like tahini, you already have it on hand, definitely use it if you have it, but don't feel like you need to buy a special ingredient just for this one recipe. Now, I'm going to put this in my recipe just because I do like tahini, I have it on hand, but you can definitely make this recipe without it. So to get started, we are going to chop up our 1 clove of garlic. It does not need to be perfect. We just want to get it a little bit smaller so we don't have any big chunks of garlic in our dish. And I'm going to put this straight into my food processor. I'm using a food processor. If you don't have one of these, you can also do this in a blender. Next, I'm going to juice my lemon. The reason that we're doing the garlic and the lemon first is we want that garlic to soak in the lemon juice for a little bit. Again, this garlic is going to be raw. It has somewhat of a harsh, almost bitter flavor to it when it is raw, so that lemon juice just helps to mellow out that garlic flavor a little bit. Once we've added our garlic and our lemon juice, and our garlic's been sitting in that lemon juice for a little bit, we can go ahead and add the rest of our ingredients. So we will add our 1 can of chickpeas. We're going to add 2 tablespoons of olive oil. I'm going to add my tahini. This is a 1/4 cup of tahini. Again, this is an optional ingredient. You don't need to use this if you don't already have it. And then we are going to add a 1/2 teaspoon of salt and a 1/2 teaspoon of cumin. thing about hummus is you can get creative with your flavors. So this is a very standard hummus. You can add different spices to it if you want to. Some people will add roasted garlic or roasted red peppers, or they'll get creative with the seasonings that they add. I've added roasted carrots and beets to my hummus before as well, so you can do a lot of really fun things here. The last thing we're going to add is ice cold water. Having that water be really cold just helps the hummus to get nice and smooth. We're going to start with 2 tablespoons. We can always add more water if we need to thin it out a little bit. And then all you have to do is blend or puree. You do want to blend this for a long time. A minute, 2 minutes, even longer. You really want to let this go for a long time so it can be nice and smooth. And if you need to, you can scrape down the sides of your blender or your food processor bowl every 30 seconds or so. So at first, the hummus is going to look kind of chunky. There's going to be some texture to it. It's not going to be very smooth. So one mistake a lot of people make is they stop right there and they leave that hummus on the chunkier side. And if you like it like that, that's okay. But if you're trying to get something that is similar to what you buy from the grocery store, you do want to let it blend for a bit longer. Once your hummus is nice and smooth, it's been blending for a couple minutes, you're done. Like I mentioned before, this is a very simple and easy recipe to make. It doesn't take a lot of ingredients, it doesn't take a lot of time, but in the end what we have is a really smooth hummus. Just by letting those chickpeas blend for a really long time, we get a nice smooth and creamy dip. And again, this is really good for you. It's mostly those chickpeas, so we're getting some protein in here, we're getting fiber in here, we're getting healthy fats from the olive oil and from the tahini if you did use it. And we don't have too much salt either. So this is going to be a great dip or a spread or however you want to use it. So all you have to do is transfer it to either a serving bowl or a reusable container. You do need to store this in the fridge. It can keep for about 1 week. And there you have it. We've made some delicious hummus. We made about 2 cups, which is a lot more than the containers that you buy at the grocery store for a lot less money. And I guarantee you that that hummus that you make at home is going to taste much fresher as well, and you can get really creative with the seasonings, with the flavorings that you want to add to your hummus. You can really make it your own. Thank you for joining us for the SPH Teaching Kitchen's online cooking series. This has been our recipe for hummus, and we'll see you again for the next one.